Could you share with us briefly the vision of Blue Origin and the idea of kind of space tourism with renewable rockets?
Super important to me. And if I believe on the longest time frame, and I really here I'm thinking of a time frame of a couple hundred years. So over many decades, I believe, and I get increasing conviction with this with every passing year, the Blue Origin, the space company, is the most important work I'm doing. And so there is a whole plan for Blue Origin.
So you'd say retail, online e-commerce, publishing, that's all less relevant than the space project.
And I'll tell you why. And so first of all, of course, I'm interested in space because I'm passionate about it and I've been studying it and thinking about it since I'm a 5-year-old boy. But that is not why I'm pursuing this work. I'm pursuing this work because I believe if we don't, we will eventually end up with a civilization of stasis, which I find very demoralizing. I don't want my great-grandchildren's great-grandchildren to live in a civilization of stasis. We all enjoy a dynamic civilization of growth and change, and let's think about what powers that. We are not really energy constrained, and so let me give you just a couple of numbers. If you take your body, your metabolic rate as a human, as just an animal, you eat food, that's your metabolism, you burn about 100 watts. Your power, your body is about 100, it's the same as a 100-watt light bulb. We're incredibly efficient. Your brain is about 60 watts of that. Amazing. And so, but if you extrapolate in developed countries where we use a lot of energy, on average in developed countries, our civilizational metabolic rate is 11,000 watts. So if in a natural state, where we're animals, we're only using 100 watts. In our actual developed world state, we're using 11,000 watts, and it's growing. For a century or more, it's been compounding at a few % a year, our energy usage as a civilization. Now, if you take baseline energy usage globally, across the whole world, and compound it at just a few % a year for just a few hundred years, you have to cover the entire surface of the Earth in solar cells. So that's the real energy crisis, and it's happening soon. And by soon, I mean within just a few hundred years. And so we don't actually have that much time. So what can you do? Well, you can have a life of stasis where you cap how much energy we get to use. You have to work only on efficiency. By the way, we've always been working on energy efficiency, and still we grow our energy usage. It's not like we have been squandering energy. We have been getting better at using it with every passing decade, and still we grow it. So stasis would be very bad, I think. Now, take the alternative scenario where you move out into the solar system. The solar system can easily support 1 trillion humans. And if we had 1 trillion humans, we would have 1,000 Einsteins and 1,000 Mozarts and unlimited, for all practical purposes, resources from solar power and so on. Why not? That's the world that I want my great-grandchildren's great-grandchildren to live in. And by the way, I believe that we will move all heavy, in that time frame, we will move all heavy industry off of Earth, and Earth will be zoned residential and light industry. And it will basically be a very beautiful planet. We have sent robotic probes to every planet in this solar system now. And believe me, this is the best one.
But when can
it is not even close.
But Jeff, when can I buy the first ticket to do a little space
tour?
We're
going to be, so the first tourism vehicle will, we won't be selling tickets yet, but we may put humans in it at the end of this year or at the beginning of next year.
So it's very
concrete.
concrete.
And then we're getting very close. We've been working on it for more than 10 years. And we're building a very large orbital vehicle. We've been working on that for more than 5 years. It'll fly for the first time in 2020. And the key is reusability. So you mentioned it. We cannot, this civilization I'm talking about of, getting comfortable living and working in space and having millions of people and then billions of people and then finally 1 trillion people in space, you can't do that with space vehicles that you use once and then throw away. It's a ridiculous, costly way to get into space.
The most recent thing that Amazon is planning is home robots.
Yeah.
So I assume it's more than Alexa walking. So what's the vision behind it? Which will
I
it
saw
change?
that rumor in the press, and I can't
true?
comment on that.
Okay, I see. So it seems to be very serious. Jeff, you are one of the most long-term thinking entrepreneurs. If it is about companies and products and services, if it is about philanthropy, you recently said that you're a very short-term thinker. You really want to deal with the now and here.
Yeah.
Can you explain that approach? I think that's also very innovative.
I'm going to end up doing a mixture of things. We started doing in Seattle, there's a homeless shelter called Mary's Place, run by a woman named Marty. And that has really impacted my thinking on this issue. Because what I'm seeing is that when you, of course, I'm in favor of all the, long-term oriented philanthropy also is a good idea. So I'm not against that. It's just I'm finding I'm very motivated by the here and now there. So seeing, a lot of the homelessness that Mary's Place works on is transient homelessness. So when you go study homelessness, there are a bunch of causes of homelessness. Mental incapacity issues are a very hard to cure problem. Serious drug addiction, a very hard to cure problem. But there's another bucket of homelessness, which is transient homelessness, which is, a woman with kids, the father runs away, and he was the only person providing any income. And they have no support system. They have no family. That's transient homelessness. You can really help that person. And you, by the way, only need to help them for like 6 to 9 months. You get them trained, you get them a job. They're perfectly productive members of society.
Last week we had Bill Gates for dinner here, and he said that he has a ridiculous amount of money, and it's so hard to find appropriate ways to do good with the money.
Yeah.
So what does money mean for you, being the first person in history that has a net worth of a 3-digit amount of billion?
The only way that I can see to deploy this much financial resource is by converting my Amazon winnings into space travel. So that's basically, Blue Origin is expensive enough to be able to use that fortune. And I'm currently liquidating about $1 billion a year of Amazon stock to fund Blue Origin. And I plan to continue to do that for a long time. So, because you're right, you're not going to spend it on like a second, dinner out. There's no, that's not what we're talking about. Yeah. So for me, I'm very lucky because I feel like I have a mission-driven purpose with Blue Origin that is, I think, incredibly important for civilization long-term. And I am going to use my financial lottery winnings from Amazon to fund that.